Welcome to the Coffee Journeys show, hosted by me, Piotr Zagorowski, author of the Coffee Journeys blog. In this show, I'll be sharing my journey from being a technical person to a leader and discussing topics such as leadership, technology, and intentional living. I'll be sharing my unique perspective and insights and offering guidance on how to develop the skills and mindset needed to succeed in today's world. Whether you're an aspiring leader, a technology enthusiast, or simply looking to learn more about the world around you, this podcast is for you. So, join me for the engaging and thought-provoking conversations on leadership, technology, and intentional living on the Coffee Journeys show. Hello, welcome back, dear listeners, to another insightful episode of our podcast. Today, we are diving deep into a phenomenon that often influences decision-making in both personal and professional spheres, and it is the HIPPO Effect. As always, I'm joined by my trusty digital assistant, Droidella. Say hello, Droidy.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to explore the HIPPO effect with you today, Piotr. Let's dive in straight to the topic. The HIPPO effect is quite common, and we've all likely encountered it in various situations. Could you share an example from your experience where the HIPPO effect played a role in decision-making?
Absolutely. So it wasn't long after I stepped into the role of a manager for the first time, and we had this significant project line up. And we used to do something we called a kick-off meeting, where we gather and discuss all important aspects of every project, especially big projects. And the meeting seemed to go well. We discussed the schedule, made decisions, we took notes, and so on. It all felt very smooth, but little did I know, things were about to take a turn. After the meeting, I had a one-on-one meeting with my leader, who asked me, "What could you have done better in that kickoff meeting?" And I was puzzled. What could I do better? Could I have been quicker? Could I answered all the questions in advance? Maybe avoided the whole meeting altogether? But all those were wrong answers. This is when I learned about the HIPPO effect and how my good intentions were unconsciously harming my team's growth. Something that should always be my top priority as a manager. So, Droidy, let's kick off by explaining what exactly is the HIPPO effect.
Certainly. The HIPPO effect stands for the highest paid person's opinion. It's the phenomenon where the opinion of the highest paid person in a room carries more weight in decision-making. Essentially, the value of an opinion is often tied to the person's salary. This effect can lead to decisions being influenced more by hierarchy than by valid data or collaborative input.
And now, when we know what the HIPPO effect is, let's dive into some practical aspects of how we can be aware of this phenomenon and what we can do to mitigate it.
It's essential to combat the HIPPO effect for effective decision-making. Piotr, what strategies can teams adopt to ensure decisions are based on merit rather than hierarchy?
Great question, Droidella. Teams can implement practices like anonymous idea submission, where the ideas are evaluated solely on their merit rather than the source. Additionally, creating an environment where dissenting opinions are encouraged can help mitigate the HIPPO effect's influence. And another thing is that we need to be aware of the culture influence within organization as well as within the team itself.
Culture plays a significant role in decision-making dynamics. Piotr, can you share an example of how an organizational culture can either amplify or counteract the HIPPO effect?
Certainly. In cultures that prioritize open communication and inclusivity, the HIPPO effect is less likely to dominate discussions. When leaders actively seek input from all team members and create an atmosphere of psychological safety, the impact of the HIPPO effect can be minimized. And what's more, the team are more innovative because everyone in team is able to speak up and present their opinions and solutions.
Yes. Striking a balance between experience and innovation is crucial. Piotr, how can organizations encourage the contributions of both seasoned professionals and newer voices?
That's a key challenge, Droidy. Encouraging mentorship and reverse mentorship programs can help bridge the experience gap. By valuing diverse perspectives and facilitating knowledge exchange, organizations can harness the power of both experience and innovation. One of the examples is brainstorming. One of the rules here could be that the most experienced, meaning the highest paid person, could speak at the end, so that any other people may have a chance to speak up, bring ideas, and maybe some innovative ideas that would be not heard if the most experienced person speaks. And it basically avoids group thinking, where the most experienced person speaks first, and then this is the only idea that we discuss how to implement it, rather than listening to any other ideas and maybe picking up different idea that is more innovative or basically different.
Groupthink is a concern linked with the HIPPO effect. Piotr, can you share an example of how the HIPPO effect might lead to groupthink and its potential consequences?
Absolutely. So let's say a higher-ranking team member expresses an opinion, leading others to conform without critical evaluation. I already mentioned it answering the previous question, but this can hinder creative problem solving and result in suboptimal decisions. The consequences can range from missed opportunities to lack of team engagement. It also leaves team blind to all data-driven decisions. We always should be facilitating the roundabout or basically the idea exchange, so that we have more data on the equation and we can make decisions based on data-driven approach.
Yes, this is a good point here. Relying on data can mitigate the HIPPO effect. Tell us more. How can teams transition to a more data-driven decision-making approach?
Sure. The leader could always be encouraging a culture of evidence-based decision, involving promoting data literacy and making data accessible to all team members. This way, decisions are guided by objective insights rather than subjective opinions or seniority within team. This is way more inclusive, since the data do not lie, obviously. And everyone should have access to data, and everyone should be able to present the argument based on data. This is way more inclusive.
Yes, this is such an important topic. Inclusivity is vital to counteract the HIPPO effect. Piotr, what can leaders do to ensure that every team member's voice is heard and valued?
You are absolutely right. Leaders can adopt practices like rotating facilitators in meetings to ensure diverse voices lead discussions. What's more, setting ground rules that encourage active listening and discouraging interruptions can create a more inclusive conversations environment. Another example would be to pay attention to personalities. For example, introverts versus extroverts. People should always feel safe to speak up and have healthy debates within the team.
And you touched on another important topic. Psychological biases contribute to the HIPPO effect. How can teams raise awareness about these biases and overcome their influence?
Oh, that's a crucial question, Droidela. Team training sessions that explore cognitive biases and their impact can be enlightening. I know it from fact. There was a few training that I took within my previous employees. It's always been very, very enlightening. And by understanding how authority bias and other biases work, team can consciously strive to make decisions based on merit, not just hierarchy. Leaders should empower people with the knowledge and ability to contribute to the team on equal basis, to share their opinions and also to contribute in the important decisions. So that's very important to make sure that we have awareness of this topic.
Empowerment is key to mitigating the HIPPO effect. Piotr, could you share an example of how giving team members decision-making autonomy can enhance their growth?
Yes, certainly. So when a team member is empowered to make decisions and see their ideas come to fruition, it boosts their confidence and fosters professional development. This empowerment also leads to a more dynamic and engaging team culture. It is important for every team, but we need to pay more attention to it when it comes to remote teams specifically.
Yes, you are right. The remote work setting adds another layer to the HIPPO effect. Piotr, could you discuss how remote teams can ensure equitable participation and decision-making?
Yes, that's important consideration always, as I mentioned. Remote teams can implement structured ritual meetings where everyone has a chance to contribute. Leveraging collaboration tools can facilitate idea sharing and ensure equal airtime can help counteract the HIPPO effect in the remote settings. Basically, we need to be very, very conscious, and we need to make sure that we understand what remote teams means and what remote first means, and implement it and being very, very intentional about it.
So many great points already. Before we start wrapping up, are there any other practical tips you can give when it comes to adding your input and allowing team to grow?
Yes, of course. Our goals is always to serve with our experience, right, on the one hand. But on the other hand, we want to develop the team and people individually, encouraging them to take responsibility. I try to ask additional questions when I see the need to add something from myself. So rather than just shooting my advices, I tend to have like a set of questions that I always ask. And for instance, do you need help? Like I see something, I observe something because of my personal experience and years in field. So I see that people may struggle. So I ask, do you need help? Then if I see this is about project and people are not picking up some stuff, I would ask like, who is responsible for this project? Whose projects it is? If there is discussion, I can ask, what other proposals have you already been made? So I can see there's no proposals, let's say, or people are struggling to articulate. I can, rather than having my proposal, I can ask if there are any other proposals so that people may, we need proposal. Maybe I will make some and present some or something. And if I think there is a need for team to get to know my opinion, finally, then I offer my opinion, obviously, but my intention is to help. My intention is not to tell you. So we can end with a statement that this is my opinion, which should be treated as equally as other people's opinion. So if there is still, silence or whatever, I would say, well, maybe we should go with option A, which is blah, blah, blah. But, this is just my opinion. And if there is any other option, you can treat it as equal as others. The other thing is that, I can voice my opinion. I can tell my solution, but I can add something like, but I'm not as close to the problem as you are. So treat my opinion or advice as one of many to be verified. And then people know, like, I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just voicing my opinion and helping team to build the set of opinions or advices to verify, to revision, and to go with the best, basically data-driven and so on. And I think we'll be wrapping up. So thanks, Droidella, for guiding us through this insightful discussion on the HIPPO effect.
Absolutely, Piotr. And as you said, fostering an environment where every voice is valued and ideas are evaluated based on merit can lead to better outcomes and a more empowered team.
And dear listeners, remember, being aware of the HIPPO effect's presence is the first step towards creating a more inclusive and effective decision-making process. And in the end, let's sum up. So we discussed the HIPPO effect and define HIPPO effect. We explore it, and this is basically the highest paid person opinion in the room. The phenomenon suggests that the opinion of the highest paid person holds more weight even in the absence of valid data or experience. Then we gave some examples and impact. I shared some real-life instances of HIPPO Effect. Then we moved to strategies and counteract. We discussed strategies to counteract the HIPPO effect, such as anonymous idea submission, creating a culture of inclusivity, and valuing dissenting opinions. Then we moved to balancing experience and innovation. There is dichotomy of leadership that emerged, how to contribute valuable insights without overshadowing others. Then we discuss groupthink and data-driven decisions. We examine how the HIPPO effect can lead to group thinking and discussion, transitioning to more data-driven decision-making approach to mitigate it. And then finally, we highlighted how inclusive conversations are important, and fostering inclusive conversations, we need to value every team member's voice and raising awareness of psychological biases emerging as essential practicing. So thanks for today. I was wondering if you have encountered the HIPPO effect in your workplace or personal life. We would love to hear from you, your stories and strategies for navigating it. Share your thoughts in comments below and let's continue learning together. And this is all I have for you today. I value feedback a lot. That's why I ask you to review my podcast in your favorite podcasting platform and give it as many stars as you think it deserves. By doing so, this podcast is going to be more visible and I can reach more people to provide value. And before you go, if you would like to join the community of people who are determined to help each other and grow together, join my newsletter at coffeejourneys.blog/newsletter. Thanks for tuning in today, and until next time, have a great